Welcome back to the show. This is episode 145. I'm Ryann Watkin, and this conversation is going to challenge you in the best way. In this conversation with Lazaros, we explore the quiet choices that make us who we become, why integrity is forged when no one is watching, and how taking true ownership of your life might feel slightly or very uncomfortable. This conversation is for you if you've ever heard that whisper deep down that there is more waiting for you outside of your comfort zone. Maybe you want to do something really big or really small that feels unfamiliar that you've never done before. You know that there is something bigger for you than the job or the relationship or whatever situation you're in now that doesn't feel quite right. So at age 2, Alan's father passed away in a car accident. And at age 26, after getting into a nearly fatal car accident himself, he questioned everything he was doing in life. On paper, he looked successful, but his heart was questioning every single choice he was making. And he was at an all-time low, and he decided to change his life for the better. Once and for all. Today, Alan is the CEO of the Next Level University podcast, a global top 100 show. So if you want more love, health, and wealth in your life, buckle up, Buttercup, because we're going deep today. Alan, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I do not take it lightly at all to speak into other people's lives, because I think that what you are listening to, what you're allowing into your brain, what you're allowing into your mind, what you pay attention to is very much dictating your future. So it's an honor. Thank you for having me, and I won't waste a second of anyone's time. I'm here for one reason only, and it's to help you reach your full potential. So thank you for having me.
Thank you for saying that. And I just want to really jump into the deep end here. And I want to know, what do you think people are more afraid of, living or dying?
I've coached for 11 years now. I have 25 clients currently, but hundreds over the years. Everyone's afraid of something. I always joke. I say there's two types of people. There's people that are fearful, and there's liars. Because everyone's fearful. But we're not fearful of the same thing. So my quick answer would be, I think people are probably afraid of living fully. And I think usually on the other end of whatever your deepest fear is usually living fully.
I have that sense too. And when I was really thinking about where we would go in this conversation, I know you experienced a near-death car accident. You lost your father when you were 2 years old to a car accident. He died. And one of the North Stars in my life is remembering that this is temporary, remembering that we are here for the amount of time we are here. And I was really thinking to myself on my walk this morning, I'm like, what are people really afraid of? Just living so fully or dying? Because we say that it's dying, but I think a step under that is really that it's that we're wasting this life that we have here today in this moment.
So at 26, when I got in that car accident, and my dad passed away in a car very suddenly when I was 2 in 1991. I actually had my mom over on Sunday. We were talking about it. When I was 26, after sort of this being the second chance my dad never got, it was my fault. It was a head-on collision. It was very intense. Fortunately, no one was killed. No one was permanently damaged. Definitely rattled 30 miles an hour head-on collision across the double yellows. But I was driving a very safe car, and the lift-kitted pickup truck kind of came up on top of my car. And we fortunately were okay. I was driving a 2004 Volkswagen Passat. I always say thank you, Volkswagen. I used to call it the tank. A very, very safe vehicle. And so I was okay. The other driver was okay. The other driver was pissed at me, my fault, because I was supposed to yield and I didn't. But everyone was okay. But to your point with the live or die thing, it was the second chance my dad never got. And I just knew I didn't live to my full potential. I just knew I didn't. I totally didn't. Because when I sat there and I was like, okay, that could have been it. Not metaphorically, not kind of, sort of. I'm talking that really could have been it. Because it was it for my dad. Because he was 28 when he died. I was 26 during my car accident. So it was that really could have been the end. And if it was, would I be proud of the man I was? Would I be proud of what I did, how I lived? The answer was no. Now, a lot of people hear that like, what do you mean? You were a straight A student and you achieved all this success and yeah, but the truth is I wasn't putting it all on the court. I had a lot more to give. I had a lot more in me. I had a lot more drive. I was drinking too much and too often. I wasn't taking care of my health. I wasn't reaching my full potential. And I think that I now realize 11 years later, because I'm 37 now, I started a company called Allen Lazaros LLC, what you'll never learn in school but desperately need to know, because I was a straight A student, bachelor's in computer engineering, master's in business, and after my car accident, when I found personal development, self-improvement, and personal growth, I was like, where was all this in school? I didn't take goal setting or habit tracking or courage, humility, vulnerability. Like where was the personal development? So professional development, I think school system does well. Personal development, definitely not. And so I think there's 3 things we all have to master. We have to master professional development, resume, cover letter, LinkedIn, blah, 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 math, science, arithmetic, all that, writing, reading, all that. Then you have to master personal development, which is the inner work, vulnerability, courage, humility, character. Then you have social development, which is influence, sales, leadership. And if you master all 3 of those, you can be very successful and live a full life. If you don't master all 3 of those, you're basically going to be really successful in usually one narrow area. Because I know some really well personally developed people who aren't very successful in the economy. And then I know some people that are very successful in the economy, but they're still emotionally immature and play video games while their wife cooks, right? It's if you want to live a full life, you have to be well developed in all 3 of those areas.
Yeah. So how do we balance those 3 areas? Because I feel like people right now, it's an invitation to go, what about me, right? So I'm literally in real time kind of hearing everybody's thoughts as they're listening to this, going, which area am I lacking the most? That external, internal, or that social piece? Like, how do we balance that triangle?
So all of us have a really good one, a really bad one, and then a decent one. So all of us are green, yellow, red. So I'll speak about me, but I want everyone thinking about themselves. I was really good professionally. I mean, resume decked out, master's, corporate, very successful in the economy. I knew tech. I call it STEM, of science, technology, engineering, mathematics, business, and finance. For me, that came super naturally to me. Still does, honestly. But the personal development piece was not really there because I had so much pain from my past that I was like avoiding it. And after 26, I started to go back, sort of in The Lion King, Simba goes back to Pride Rock and faces his past. It was sort of like that, and metaphorically, obviously. And then I became a man where I was well-rounded and emotionally mature and emotionally intelligent, not just intellectually, right? And then socially, I think I did well too because I grew up in an environment that was very social. I actually talked to my mom about this recently. I feel like it was too social. Her and my stepdad loved to party. And I think I was just around a lot of social butterflies. And some of them I think are absolute losers, quite frankly. And I still hold a little resentment for that because I really wish I was around some better people that are more conscientious and empathetic and driven and successful and just virtuous, I think, in general. I think I grew up in an environment that was subpar personally. But to anyone out there watching or listening, you got to figure out which one's green, which one's yellow, and which one's red. And then you got to go to work on the red one. Unless you want to just double down on your strengths like everyone tells you and then just be like this really successful divorced person. At the end of the day, health, wealth, and love is what I break it down to. I have mentors and coaches that were multi-millionaires, 1 billionaire. And at this stage, I'm very successful. I'm very grateful. But at the end of the day, I didn't want to be wealthy and not healthy. And I definitely didn't want to be wealthy and healthy, but not in love. And so I thought to myself, okay, I'm an engineer. Like, what does everyone want? Everyone wants to be healthier, wealthier, and more in love. Everyone. No one would ever say, yeah, I don't want to be healthier, I don't want to be wealthier, and I don't want to be in love. Now, in my speeches, I usually say, who here wants to be healthier, wealthier, and more in love? And everyone's like, yes, me. Everyone raised their hand. I say, who here wants to master fitness every day? Who here wants to be humble, courageous, and vulnerable with their partner every day? And who here wants to master finance? And some hands go down. It's like, see? Well, you can't have health, wealth, and love without the mastery underneath it. And so for everybody out there, the worst thing, the only wrong answer is to stop contemplating where you could be better and then working on that. Knowing that it's an infinite game, that you may never be the best at anything, but you can always be better tomorrow than you are today.
Yeah. I'm hearing you say that there's this personal accountability that is mandatory. So it's not saying I'm an inspiring person, and kind of spouting off platitudes. It's actually like walking the talk, so to speak, and making the choices in daily life to do all those aspirational quotes that are on your wall, right?
Yes. So I have a mantra: who you are and what you are when no one's watching is and always will be the most important thing. And I think that we live in two worlds. We all live in the real world, which is who we are and what we are when no one's watching. That's the one that matters, despite what social media wants to show you.
Mm-hmm.
And the social world is the digital world, your Instagram account, us right now. Like, you have to live in both worlds. I get it. You have a reputation in high school, then you have a reputation in college, then you have a reputation in the marketplace, then you have a reputation in corporate. Then, like, your reputation is what others think of you. Your character is who you are. And those are often very different, alarmingly different, actually. Sometimes for the worse, sometimes for the better. And so somewhere along the lines, after 26, my car accident, I realized, like, I'm playing the wrong game. I need to start from the inside out and not the outside in. Like, I need to figure out who I am, the who, what, when, where, why, and how of Alan Lazaros, and then let that ripple outward into the social world rather than try to make the social world look a certain way. Like, yeah, I'm dressed nice. Yeah, I've got my words in the background. Like, I look young, so I'm a business coach. I need to have credibility. But at the end of the day, I'm inside first, behind the scenes first, and then, so I always use this metaphor. The social world is the wedding photos. The real world is the actual marriage. You tell me which one's more important.
Correct.
And so we totally get that wrong, of course, especially in the 21st century with all the social media. So, and I've gotten that wrong before too.
For sure.
And we all have to start with that behind the scenes stuff. And it comes down to, how often are you doing things that challenge you behind the scenes when no one's watching? And like, I think everyone's looking for a quick fix. Not everyone, but a lot of people. Like, there's the whole injections to lose weight. And if it's not diet and exercise, I don't want to hear it. There's no shortcut to being better. I think the hard way is the only way when it comes to actually getting better. And I think the quicker you realize that and accept that, you just stop avoiding it. Like, I did a challenging mobility thing earlier today that absolutely sucked. It was humble pie. I wasn't as flexible as I wanted to be. But I said to myself, okay, I'll be more flexible tomorrow than I am today. This is brutal. And I think that I wake up every day trying to go to war against my lesser self to try to reach my full potential. And when you do that long enough, you get addicted to it and you show up in the social world and you're proud of who you are and you have self-worth and self-belief. But the truth is, the social world gets worse because people are insecure around you now and people are like, wow, you work a lot, and they start making fun of you. It's like this whole thing. I honestly was so naive after my car accident. I thought when I became a better man, I thought I'd be more likable. That is atrociously not the case. Holy crap. So when you do take this harder road and you become a mirror and a spotlight shining down on other people's missed opportunities, and you see people from your past and it's like, oh, they really aren't as happy for me as I had hoped. And they're not chasing their dreams anymore, and they're not chasing their goals anymore. And now it's the harder road in so many ways. It's the better road in so many ways, but it's also the lonelier one. However, if you find people that are on that journey too, which is why we created Next Level University, is like, I have communities and sub-communities. We have a fitness group. I have my beautiful girlfriend and future wife. She has her own. And like, we created this like global community of people that are all trying to get to the next level, next level, next level. And so it doesn't have to be lonely, but it's definitely, you're not going to be able to like be super relatable at a barbecue anymore.
Yeah. Because there's this element of like, you can't shoot the shit and like talk about the weather when you know that, there is so much depth in life and living this way. I'm like that. I'm so awkward now at parties, and I mostly don't go because I'm like, tell me how your childhood was and what your deepest fear is. Like, I want to go there, like, right? And so it's a way of living that is kind of off the beaten path. So I love the marriage metaphor because my husband and I have been married 12 plus years. We've got 3 kids. Yeah. I remember planning the wedding and getting annoyed over all these little details and like, oh, the flowers and the this and the that. And I see young couples now like planning weddings and like, congratulations on, being married in the future to your girlfriend.
Oh, thank you.
And and I'm like, doesn't matter. Not to be like this, pessimistic Patty, but I'm like, literally doesn't matter, because what does matter is like a random Tuesday morning when you and your spouse are having a disagreement on a foundational family value, and you need to really figure that out in a way that keeps you married, keeps you happy, keeps you in your integrity, right? Like, this is the work, the everyday work. I love that you use that metaphor.
We've been coaching couples, Emily and I, for over 5 years now. So we've seen, People on the brink of divorce, and we've turned it around. It's like transformation. But that's the thing exactly, is the wedding is one day. It's one day. It's not what happens in one day that matters. That doesn't matter at all, actually. You could skip that completely. Honestly, you probably should.
Yep.
No, I'm joking. You have a good day. But you can't plan your life around one day. You need to plan your life for life.
Yeah.
And so I'm super passionate, and I also am weird at parties. We would be friends for sure. Everyone else would be like, all right, I'm going to go over here away from them. Let them talk about life and death, you know? We would have no friends.
Oh my God, that's such a trip. It's so true. Okay, so this morning I had this really human moment, and everything we've been talking about as far as like walking the talk makes me think of it. And what I was doing is I was on my walk and I was listening to a podcast with you on it, as I typically do when I prep for these interviews.
Appreciate it.
And yeah, of course. And so I'm, walking and just enjoying my beautiful cloudy morning here in South Florida. And garbage day was yesterday, and I see, a fellow neighbor had their garbage can out. And I was like, oh, they must be traveling. That would be really nice if I brought their garbage can up for them, to their garage. And I didn't do it. I was like, that would have been really nice. And I didn't do it. And I kept walking for about 30 seconds. And then I saw a piece of trash on the ground. And I was like, oh, somebody should pick that up. And I didn't do that either. And I just have to own up here to all of these moments that we have in our life, because I think, Alan, that this is what you're talking about, that integrity piece of those very small decisions that aren't social media, Instagram, Pinterest worthy, but those are the moments who make us like who we are. Nobody's clapping, nobody's validating, nobody's acknowledging, but we know. Right? Yeah. And so I really had to fess up for those two moments, because I thought, do I want to be that person who carries the neighbor's, garbage can up to their road? I think I do. Do I want to be a good neighbor? Like, yeah, I do want to be a good neighbor. I do want to be a good person. I talk about kindness. I talk about compassion. Those are what that's made out of, those moments.
Now, here's the deal. I don't want you to walk around your entire life shaming yourself that you didn't put other people's garbage away. But imagine if everyone lived that way, where we actually did pick up the trash. And Emilia and I in our neighborhood, we can't walk past it. We can't. We never do. We never walk past it. And the reason why is because I know the world is not going to suddenly change and suddenly everyone's going to be conscientious and caring. But I have to start. How dare I preach it without being it? Yeah. So at the end of the day, it's not about being perfect. It's about walking your talk, and it's about being better. I hear this all the freaking time, and maybe I'm the only one with the courage to say it, and I'm not trying to put me on a pedestal. What I'm trying to say is, I don't know why people don't say this more. I really don't. Oh, well, they did their best. That's not enough. You can better your best. Your best at 17 better be worse than your best at 37. You know how many parents are like, well, we did our best. I don't care. Where were the parenting books? Why didn't you learn this? And it's like, I'm angry. Why am I the only one angry? And I said, okay, should we just excuse it all? Okay, it's the government's fault. Or it's to me, you can always make an excuse. You can always say, well, I didn't have the time, or I didn't. That's not personal responsibility. Personal responsibility is everything. I actually will not hire someone anymore unless I see that. Indicators of it. I need to see indicators of personal responsibility, because people say, well, words lie, but actions don't. BS. Actions in front of you lie too. And every business owner knows that if you have a team. Actions, the way people are around you, is different than the way they are behind the scenes. Sometimes alarmingly different. Yeah. And if you run a virtual company with 24-person team, you need to make sure who they are behind the scenes is great, not on an interview. And so I have this acronym I use. I'll give it to everyone right now. In the past, I wouldn't, because I was afraid to be villainized. You shouldn't judge people. Well, if you want to make good, effective choices, you're going to have to make a judgment call, which means you're going to have to be discerning, which means you're going to have to look at something. Yeah. I think you lose meaning when you say everybody's the same, and everybody's the exact same, and everything's the same, and everything should be equal. On a soul level, everyone's equal. But on a physical, real life level, health, wealth, love, good for your company, core value, not the same. So it's you, Medzai. The reason I'm laughing is because a lot of this is just passion. I'm not angry.
Yeah.
Although I think in the past I was angry.
They're very similar, that passion and that anger. And you know what's interesting is that's what makes for a good mission, is that passion, that igniting of that spark. That's what drives it. So I think it's great.
Thank you. A lot of people
Yeah.
get scared by it, but ultimately, if you find something that breaks your heart or pisses you off, which underneath that is breaking your heart, you have enough tenacity to do something about it, which is where I think we all need to get to something. I don't know what it is for you. Maybe it's the environment. Maybe it's climate change. Maybe it's
parenthood for me.
Okay,
it's
good.
Motherhood.
Whatever it is that
specifically
pisses
for
you
me.
off,
Yep.
that you see in the world, an injustice happening, I think it's our
Mhm.
job to solve or at least work on it, make progress on it. So for me, it's we weren't taught these things, and it pisses me off. So my acronym is UMEDSAI. It's UMEDSAI. Unstable, manipulative, entitled, delusional, significance-driven, arrogant, and immature. Basically, there's two types of people, I'll boil it down, that I never work with. I'm talking client, listener, I'm talking team member, especially team member. Two types of people. Number one is spoiled brats. These are people who want huge rewards for minimal effort. They think that they deserve a birthday month. Not a birthday day, like the whole month, or a birthday week. Like, it's my week. Why do you own a week? Okay, that's the first one. People hate me for that if they want. I don't care. Number two, bullies. People who put other people down to feel better about themselves. And they're everywhere. They're subtle, but they're everywhere. They're insecure, and they have to put you down to feel bigger and better about themselves, because deeply they are insecure. Bullies are the most insecure people among us, and they're fucking everywhere, and they piss me right off. Now, the fortunate thing, now that I'm 37 and I'm not a prepubescent little Backstreet Boy, now the bullies don't step to me anymore because I'm 6'2", 215. But and they know energetically that I'm going to say something. But back in the day when I had low self-worth, I was bullied like you wouldn't believe. And now as a grown man, I see that, and I see it happening all around me, and I can't stand it. So anyways, I don't hire anyone who falls into those two categories, and UMEDSAI is the acronym that helps me avoid those people.
I really want to know, what is success to you, Alan? And then I also want to know, do you think everybody should or does have their own definition of success? Like, is it an individualized thing?
I do believe everyone should define it and redefine it for themselves. I'll use this metaphor. You're born into the world naked, scared, and ignorant. You don't know who you are. You don't know how the world works yet. You don't know the economy. You don't know psychology. You don't know. You just don't know anything. You're a blank hard drive. And then you get downloaded a bunch of stuff, sometimes bad, sometimes great. Constructive and destructive, I think, is the frame. And so we all inherit all this stuff. Like, I was talking to my mom this weekend, and I was like, well, there's certain things that were really great. I'm really grateful for it. But what do these are not so great. And we had a tough conversation. And we all have to hopefully, you should be more intelligent at 17 than you were at 7. And you should be more intelligent at 27 than you are at 17. And you should be more intelligent at 37 than you are at 27, by far. And it's supposed to be a growth curve. And so I always use the metaphor because I think it lands for people. This iPhone, in 2007, I was a senior in high school when it came out. Steve Jobs and Apple came out with the first iPhone. It's an iPod, it's a phone, it's the internet, whatever. This is the iPhone 16 Pro Max. What was once a revolutionary breakthrough product, world-class, best product in the world ever created to date in human history, is now a piece of hot garbage compared to this. If you compared the first iPhone to this, it would be like, oh my God, does it even have a keyboard? Like, this is awful. I think that's a good metaphor. Remember the old phones you could barely get them to work? I feel like that's the same thing with humans.
Yeah.
I tell my business partner Kevin all the time, like, we're growing a very successful 7-figure business. I said, Kev, isn't it funny how what we thought was hard 9 years ago when we started is like a joke now? Why? We've gotten smarter, we've gotten stronger, we've gotten better, we've gotten more capable, we've gotten more productive. And the thing that I think is hard for people to conceptualize, and this is what I've found in my coaching, success doesn't make life easier. It actually makes it harder. Let me explain. I come on this podcast. I have a nice shirt on. I'm doing my thing. I have a 24-person team now. We work with 125 clients, paying clients. I have more responsibility right now than I've ever had before in my entire life, by far. My life is not easier. It looks easier. I have different problems now. Now, money isn't as big of a problem, but the responsibility isn't less. So the greater you become, it's this weird cycle that happens. It's like, okay, I'm 1, so I'm going to take on level 1 problems, which is crawling. I got to learn how to crawl. Then I'm 2, and it's like I got to take on level 2 problems. I think I can kind of stand and hold myself up, sort of, while I drool. Okay, and then it's 3, and then it's 4, and then it's 5, and then you grow. And here's the thing, you're supposed to grow with age. I'm supposed to be a better CEO at 37 than I was at 36. And if I'm not, that's a problem. So assuming you're not lying, stealing, cheating through your teeth, your success is a byproduct of who you are. But who you are is a byproduct of the goals you set. So yes, everyone should set their goals and what success means to them. But here's the irony. When you get the success, which hopefully you eventually do, and you need to persevere to do that, you're going to be like, that ain't it. Why did I even care about that? And then over time, hopefully you update your software, you update your mindset, you update your beliefs, you update your hardware, you update your firmware. Like this phone is so much more capable than the phones we grew up with in the 90s. It's not even close. You can do so much more with it. The same is true for human beings if they're growing and improving. So what I say is success doesn't make life easier. It makes life harder, but you can handle hard better.
Yeah. So this reminds me of when you talked about how we as humans have a tendency to avoid the pain. And success is simply choosing to walk through that pain, walk through that discomfort, and get more comfortable with being uncomfortable. Is that a fair way to say it?
Absolutely. And the thing that I've found is if you don't have high self-belief, what's known in psychology as self-efficacy, is it's going to be very hard for you to set goals. So we do a 10-pound in 10-week challenge every year at Next Level University. We have a little fitness group. We got like 50 people in there. And we're going to do it again actually soon. Kevin and I are going to announce it soon. And what we find is a lot of people don't believe in their ability to lose 10 pounds. Kevin and I were both bodybuilders. We did bodybuilding competitions. And so for us, it's like, it's just math. You just track your calories, you exercise more, eat less, calculate over time. It's, for some people, losing 10 pounds is very easy. And particularly fitness competitors, like that's what they do for a living. And I was in the bodybuilding space for a long time. Fitness model, fitness competitor, fitness coach, 3 different shows. I won one of them, the overall. My point is I developed that skill. And I believe in my ability to lose 10 pounds, 10 out of 10. I'm certain I can do it. When you have that level of certainty, you're not going to be reluctant to set the goal. And you're certainly not going to be reluctant to tell people about it. But here's the problem. If you don't believe in your ability to do it, which a lot of our people don't, they won't set the goal, which then proves they can't do it. So it's almost like you don't believe in yourself, so you don't set a goal. Now you have no necessity. So now you don't learn how to do it. Now you have less belief. It's a conundrum. So I call it the fail forward framework, micro failure for macro success. And I always say no one will outfail me. I now know why that doesn't land sometimes. What I mean is I set a goal that's nearly impossible. I go for it. I fail forward. And when you fail, you get pain. When you get pain, you contemplate. When you contemplate, you get new distinctions. And when you get new distinctions, you have higher awareness. Now you have a more likely chance to succeed. Here's the problem. What people do when they set goals is as long as it's going well, I'll keep it. I'll keep the goal. No. When it doesn't go well, when I decided to build a successful podcast and a successful personal development company, I didn't say to myself, if things get tough, I'm going to quit. You're going to see me at the top of this mountain or dead on the side of it with a smile. That was my exact words. My point is you can't quit when you fail. Everybody fails, especially successful people. They actually fail more. And that's why they get distinctions and experience that other people don't. So the problem with the get comfortable with discomfort is you don't have a reason to get uncomfortable unless you have a goal, and you won't have a goal if you don't believe in yourself. And if you don't have a goal, you won't ever build self-belief. So it's this conundrum people find themselves in. I have clients from all over the world that are just on fire, but I realize I give them an exact system. It's inputs, outputs, measure, adjust, and then it's knowledge, skills, and attitude towards those inputs, toward their most important goals, and they just flourish. One of my clients, 22 pounds, unbelievable. She's like, I never believed I could do that. It's like, it's just math. You just reverse engineer it. It's not even hard. It's hard to do the things, like being hungry is hard, but the math is simple. And you just make sure you stay ahead of your metabolism. But I also make things sound simpler because I have grateful to have a very powerful brain. And Kev says, dude, it's not simple for everybody. But my point of this whole thing is, unfortunately, most people do not believe in themselves, but pretend they do socially. So they don't set big goals. So therefore, they don't have to get uncomfortable, and they don't fail. And when you don't fail, you don't learn. The majority of learning comes from failure, the majority of it. We've done 8 live events, 9. No, our 9th will be in March. We failed every time. Let me explain. The first one, we wanted 50 people. We got 34 people. The next one, we wanted 100 people. We got 87 people. The next one, we went for 250. We got like 115. And then we were like, all right, let's stop upping the ante. This is atrocious. And then we went down from there. We learned our lesson. Now we do a hybrid, fully virtual. We were hybrid, then we were fully virtual, actually. My point is you start the train and you can't get off the train when it gets hard. You can't. And most people do, or they don't set a goal in the first place. People say it's about the journey. It's not. Let me explain. I know you have to enjoy the journey. I know you have to be present. I get it. It's not about the journey. The destination you choose in advance dictates the journey. Driving 30 minutes south is very different than driving across the country to LA. I drove from Boston to LA in my 20s. That's a very different journey. That's a metaphor. People are like, well, it's about the journey. No, it's not if you're just drifting around. You need to have goals. I'm not saying this because I'm a dick. I'm saying this because I care. You need to have goals. If you don't have goals, you are going to fall into everyone else's goals and you will not grow, at least not in the direction that you want. So yes, it's about the journey, but the destination you choose in advance forces you to embark on an epic journey that hopefully builds you and helps you grow and face challenges. That's what movies are about. That's what literature is about. It's about a hero's journey where they go on a journey toward a greater world and they grow along the way. And unfortunately, we weren't really taught that.
Yeah, we weren't. That makes me think a little bit differently about goals. When I first got into personal development, I kind of gave up the word goal. I was like, forget it. It's all about intention, and it is just like semantics at the end of the day. It's not goals. It's, and I wanted to name it something different. And I wanted to not hustle because I'm a woman and I wanted to get back to feminine. And so there's lots of like nuances in here, but this made me think differently about the word goal. And I really like that metaphor of a trip. Like you have to know where you're going. Like you have to have an idea, a specific, not like I'm going to go to Alaska. It's like you need to know what city you're going to and what, where you're going to stay and, like what you're going to do for healthy meals and all of that. It's not just like, maybe I'll go to Alaska one day. It's not that. It's like the specificity of it. So I love that you broke that down for us, especially somebody like me who is just like, oh, I'll go where the wind takes me. I'm very, flowy and I just want to like go wherever. But it's true. We do need that containment, that masculine presence, which you're amazing at bringing, that like, vision, the clarity and the containment of it. So that's great. Okay, so as we start to finish up, if someone listening with us here today is at a crossroads, like maybe she is questioning who she is or what matters in her life or whether she's really living fully, what would you say to them right now from where you're sitting today?
The very first thing I would say is be more careful of your inputs. So if anyone actually hung into this conversation, it's got you questioning your whole life. That's the point of it. I always say you aren't more successful in life. You aren't not achieving your goals and dreams because you don't believe enough already in what you already believe in. That's not it. It's because you have blind spots. We all do. I have less blind spots than I used to. That's why I'm more successful now, including the fact that I make everyone uncomfortable. Okay, that's not a blind spot anymore. Before it was like, why does anyone like me? I don't get it. Okay, so there's something called the learning loop. You see it, you hear it, you practice it, you teach it, and you write it down. So you see it, you hear it, you write it down, you practice it, and you teach it. That's the learning loop. So Kevin and I, as podcasters, you as well, we have an advantage because we have to learn things to teach them. So we have to learn them deeper. If you knew you were going to teach everything I taught you in this episode, you'd have to learn it deeper. You would have taken notes. Wait, I got to go back and hear that again. So you have to be careful what you allow into your brain. I think that inputs is where it all starts. Podcasts you're listening to, the books, you got to get rid of the garbage. I always tell Kev, we're selling kale outside a goddamn candy store, right? Some of these YouTube channels are atrocious. It's bad. You're going to get dumber just watching them. Like this episode is going to help you in real life. You're not going to feel good. You're not going to get off this episode and feel good. You're not going to feel good about your life. You're not going to be like, wow, I've been killing it the whole time. No, you're going to be like, oh my God, have I done everything wrong? Yes, you've done everything suboptimally, and that's okay because you're a certain age, and that doesn't mean you can't change it. People are like, Alan, for someone who's made such good choices, you have a lot of regrets. Listen, I'm not saying that I regret everything. I'm saying I should have known better, and I wish I had learned more, and I wish I had gotten away from that person quicker, right? So at the end of the day, the only thing I would say is walk away from this protecting your mind. What you feed your mind is creating your identity, your beliefs, your mindset, your habits. Everything ripples out from there. So I work really hard. I downloaded 3 new books yesterday, I think 2 or 3. I work really hard. I actually watched 2 videos from someone I used to learn from. His name is Coach Michael Burt. He came on my podcast, Business Growth University. And I told Emilia downstairs when we were doing mobility, I said, I don't know if I can listen to Michael Burt anymore. It's not because I don't like Michael. He's still doing good in the world. Michael, if you were ever to see this, I still love you, brother. But it's not for me anymore. He's almost 50 now. you can tell he's tapering off in his hustle. He used to be much more driven. And I'm in 37. I'm at the beginning of the beginning of the beginning of my career. I always said my career wouldn't even start till I was 50. The point that I'm making is you have to be careful. I noticed me getting less motivated watching him. Whereas when I watch a Tom Brady, it's like, let's go. Let's go. So you have to be very mindful of what you listen to. I hope you left this interview feeling inspired, motivated, and most importantly, educated. I hope you learned something about yourself, others, the world, and I hope you go and contemplate your life. Because on the other side of contemplating your life is someone who's going to aim higher, work harder, get smarter. It's going to be great, but it's going to be painful and uncomfortable. I'm sure this interview was uncomfortable for you, for me, for everyone listening, but that's where all the freaking growth is.
Yep. So good. Thank you so much for being here, Alan.
Thank you for having me. Thank you. Appreciate it.